reading, and just bonding all around. What? So we don't have a lot of rules in this house, but the one rule I do have, no one touches my chicken nuggets. And today, someone broke that rule. Family meeting, now!
Now, I don't know a lot, but what I do know is when Carl calls a family meeting, someone's usually in trouble.
Here we go. All right, y'all, I don't demand much. I let you stay here, I let you play my games, I even let you use my hallway as a slip and slide. It was dope.
It was pretty dope.
But someone just crossed the line.
Wow, I guess you could say things are heating up in the kitchen.
Someone just ate my chicken nuggets.
So what?
Shots fired.
So what? That's my one rule, Brock.
Well, it's a stupid rule.
Stupid?
Are you kidding me?
Also, there's more food in the fridge, man. The only thing in there besides my chicken nuggets is vegetables.
Carl hates vegetables.
I hate vegetables, and Brock knows that.
Good. You could stand to eat a few more veggies.
What did you say?
All I'm saying is that maybe you should take a break from eating 100 chicken nuggets a day and maybe eat a vegetable.
I'm pretty fuming right now, but I know I gotta be slow to anger and take the higher road. Be the better person. I'm not a rabbit, bro! I don't eat vegetables! I don't eat Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets!
Dude?
That's it!
What?
Okay, first of all, bruh, don't cornstalk me. Dose of all, if you're hungry, go buy some more chicken nuggets. I would love to, Brock, but it's Sunday and they're closed. I bought these extra to eat today.
Then go to Mickey D's. It's all the same, dude.
What did you say?
I said go to Mickey D's. It's basically the same as Chick-fil-A, if not better.
The fact that Brock just said that, it scares me.
I'll kill you! I'll kill you, Brock! You know I love Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets!
Yo, bro,
You know
stop,
it.
What's up, Edge? What's up with all this quarantine Carl?
Next week on Real Life Quarantine.
So I decided to kick Austin out of the house.
This house is a nightmare, dude. Didn't even like it anyway, bro.
Bye-bye, Austin. Guess who just became the best-looking guy in the house?
To be honest, I'm glad Austin's gone. I called dibs on his Xbox.
I'm done. I'm out of here, bro. I can't get enough.
You got a whole litter, bro. Oh, are those pugs? He's not supposed to be in leaves like that. He worked hard raking up those leaves. Look at that.
What's up, y'all? It is Wednesday night, which means it is time for Youth Night Live again. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited about tonight's show, Alyssa. Are you?
Yeah, I'm really excited.
On a scale of like 1 to 10, how excited are you?
11.
Wow, you went up to 11. Went up to 11. I was gonna say like 9.5, but man, 11.
Sorry.
You're really there. That's great. I like that. Now, hopefully you guys are all still doing your schoolwork. I know that the school's kind of been canceled, but you probably still have homework to do. Now, Alyssa, you also have homework to do because you're in school.
I am.
And recently you submitted a research paper, correct?
Yes.
And so students, what we're about to tell you is really important. Always check, double check, triple check,
And I
quadruple
did.
check. Okay.
Just not well enough.
Yeah, bro, make sure that anything you turn in is really well looked over, right? So you had a typo in your paper that you turned in, and you didn't notice it till after you turned it in. Would you tell us what that typo was?
Well, it was supposed to include the word Satan. Instead, it said satin,
Like the cloth.
like the cloth. I also misquoted the Bible and
Oh, good.
said, instead of saying "for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God," it said the flory of God, which
Lori.
means vain or conceited.
Perfect, perfect. So,
That's fun.
So not only did you get a proper name wrong and call someone, cloth, a silky type cloth, which is the devil, which, here's the, wonder if Satan wears satin. That'd be the ultimate conundrum. But then you also misquoted the Bible.
Yeah.
And you didn't notice
one of
this
my prouder
until
moments.
after the research paper was turned in. Is that correct?
Yes. I sent my professor an email, so
Good.
hopefully he'll give me grace.
So
Not
students,
today, Staten.
just to
Not today.
thanks a lot, Satin. So hopefully you will look at your work very carefully before you turn it in. We just want you to do the best you can and all that. But it's been a good week overall, right? I mean, everything's been good. The weather's been nice this week. It hasn't rained every single day, which is nice.
I like the rain.
I like the rain, but I want to get outside sometimes and walk around the neighborhood. So hopefully y'all are getting some exercise and not just watching TikTok all day.
Yeah.
I know that many of you probably are only doing that, but get out of your rooms. Just walk around, do something. All right. So what we're here to do not only tonight is to bring you some really cool stuff and some good segments, but we want to give you guys some information about what's going on in the world around us.
Yeah.
And some of the news is bleak, right, in the world. We can turn on the news and it's sad. So what Alyssa and I want to do tonight in a new segment is to give you some news that maybe you didn't know, but you need to know. So this is a segment we're going to call News in the Know.
North Carolina farm renting out donkeys, chickens, and ducks to crash video calls. There's a farm in North Carolina called Peace and Peas. Will charge you $50 and you can have a donkey, a chicken, a duck, or a horse show up to your virtual meetings. So if you're looking for ways to spice up your boring Zoom meetings, you can have Mambo, Zeus, or Eddie, which are the names of their horses and ducks, come and join your Zoom call.
Thanks, Alyssa, for that. So a Texas ER doctor is now self-isolating in his kid's treehouse. We all know that if you are exposed to these things that you should self-isolate, but he has chosen a creative way by doing it in his kid's treehouse. When asked for comment, he said, "It's not that far away. My kids are within yelling distance."
In other news, police department begs citizens to wear clothes in public. You heard that right. A police department in Maryland tweeted, "Please remember to put pants on before leaving your house to check your mailbox. You know who you are. This is your final warning." Guys, that was a real tweet. So remember to wear clothes when you check your mail.
In another story, man told to turn down music chases neighbor down with a sword. That's right, folks. You heard that correctly. A sword. So apparently this guy was listening to some music. His neighbor thought it was too loud. He comes, knocks on the door. "Hey, you mind turning the music down?" And instead of saying, "Why, certainly I can do that because it's probably disturbing you," he grabs a 2.5-foot long sword and chased his neighbor down the hallway. No word on what the suspect was listening to before the alleged attack, but probably something like Billie Eilish. Wow, those news stories were pretty uplifting, pretty interesting things going on. So now you know what we know, which is what's in the news. Now, we have a really special guest this week, and I can't wait for you guys to see the interview that we had with him. And many of you have heard of him, some of you have not, but it's a man named J. Warner Wallace, and he has written, I think at this point, 4 different books. But he is a former 25-year-long homicide detective in Los Angeles. And then he became a believer and started teaching high school students, actually, and then has written several books as an apologist. And so check out this interview this week with J. Warner Wallace, but don't just tune out when he's done, okay? When we come back from the interview, Alyssa and I have something that we are both not looking forward to that we're going to do. So we're going to play a little game when we come back, but this game has consequences because we're going to be playing the Bean Boozled game with some trivia. And so if you want to see us, in all likelihood, gag, possibly throw up, I don't know, then come back and join us for that. But check out this interview that we have with J. Warner Wallace. Thank y'all again for joining us this week. Our guest this week is one of my favorite authors and apologists. His name is J. Warner Wallace. And so we're so excited that you're joining us today, and we can't wait to hear from you. And so I would love for the folks who are watching just to hear a little bit about your background and to kind of find out who you are. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I work here in Los Angeles County, and I did this for about 25 years. I was working in a local law enforcement agency in the county where most of the time I worked homicides, robberies and homicides. Worked undercover for a number of years, worked on our gang detail, worked on our SWAT detail. But eventually ended up in robbery and homicide. And I was not a believer during most of that time. No one in my family are Christians. So no one really talked about the gospel. No one talked about the claims of the New Testament. Now my mom was raised as kind of a cultural Catholic, and growing up, there was always that kind of sense that there's something out there.
Right.
And we would on occasion, like not every year, but some years we would actually go to the Catholic Church for like Christmas, and it just seemed to me to be so. There was nothing about it that I thought was reasonable, and the people I asked questions of could not give me reasonable answers.
Yeah.
A lot of even the detectives I worked with, the officers I worked with. I had a sergeant, for example, who was a great guy. He was my training officer when I was new on the department. Then he became a sergeant, and he became a Christian about the same time that I came on the department. But I was there for another 8 years, and we talked all the time, and I just never felt like he had good answers to some of my simplest questions. So as a result, I just stayed away from it. I mean, I always say this because it's true that a lot of the Christians that I met as I was working as a detective were the people we were taking to jail who would tell us they were Christians.
Wow.
So I was discouraged that this was nothing worth. I just knew it was nothing worth my time. Now my wife was more interested, and she's always, I think, had a sense that there's something bigger than us,
Right.
something God or supreme being,
Right.
divine power, whatever you want to call it. And when we started having kids, now we were together for 18 years
Wow.
before either one of us became a Christian.
Wow.
But she wanted it. Should we raise our kids in the church? And I thought, well, no.
Yeah,
I
right.
wasn't raised in the church, but at the same time, if Susie wanted to do this, I'm in. I mean, I'll be happy to, because my dad's the same way. As an atheist, he'll go to church because he thinks that it has value,
Right.
even though it's not true.
Right.
So I was the same way. But the first day in a church that I never really been to church. I mean, I've been to a Catholic mass as a kid
Right.
on a holiday, and it just seemed so ritualistic to me. I had never seen a Protestant or an evangelical church service. So we go into this huge church here in Southern California where they are very much focused on people who are coming to visit, right? And the pastor made the point of saying, he said a bunch of stuff, but what I remember him saying the most was that Jesus was kind of worth our time because he was the smartest man who had ever lived. And I just wanted to know if that was true, really. So I bought a Bible, which is sitting on my shelf back here. It was a pew Bible, small margins, wish it had bigger margins, because I started to pick it apart to see what were the words that were so smart that Jesus said.
Yeah.
And that's what started it for me, why I became interested in Jesus. And it really, I will tell you, very selfish reasons. Look, I was the kind of person who, I had read the writings as a kid in high school. I had a teacher who was a Baha'i believer. And so I read the teaching of Baha'u'llah because I thought it was so elegant and in a way of kind of anciently profound, I would say, right? Where there might be some wisdom that some, even a character from ancient fiction might have something to say that you would think. I know people who will quote passages from Lord of the Rings.
Right.
They're like, it doesn't have to be true to have some value to I could, use it in my life.
Right.
And that's really what I thought I would gain out of this. It's not true, but there's probably some stuff I could steal.
You extract a nugget or two.
Yeah, that's where it started for me. And so I just started digging through the New Testament to see what Jesus had to say. And that's what started, because I'll tell you, here's what I do for a living. I work cold cases. Those are just unsolved murders. And only murder counts that stays open long enough to go cold as a cold case. Any other kind of crime, it will eventually close by statute, by law. It has to close. You cannot go back and investigate somebody for a theft 20 years later. But you can go back and investigate somebody for a murder 20 years later. So my cases are all murders. And a lot of the notebooks I have sitting back here are just old case files of murders. And I will tell you that those cases, I don't often have access. Sometimes the witness dies before I open the case.
Right.
And even the officer dies before I open. The officer who interviewed the witness. So I'm looking at reports that are typically written by somebody I have no access to about somebody I have no access to. Well, that's the Gospels. So I just started reading through the Gospels and testing them the way I would test supplemental reports in these old cold cases.
Yeah. And I think that's fascinating. One of the things that I love about your story and about the way you write your books and everything else too is I hear from atheists quite often, and kind of the new mark of an atheist these days doesn't seem to be so much a denial of God, but saying, well, there's not sufficient evidence
Yeah.
to believe in God. Well, you're somebody who, for a living, for a career, you look at evidence and you try to
Right.
figure out what's going on and put these things together. And so,
Yeah.
um, you came to Christianity because you saw sufficient evidence. Would you kind of, share a little bit about what you saw that sort of said, okay, this actually is true?
Okay, so what you just said was very powerful. Sufficient evidence.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us say, look, I have to have no lingering doubts. I have to be beyond the shadow of a doubt before I could ever jump into something called Christianity. And maybe some of the people that you in your ministry.
Yeah.
I mean, as a young person, I would have definitely been in that camp, but I didn't know anything about how much evidence is required to know something. So
Right.
here's what I learned is that in every case I've worked in front of a jury, I cannot answer every possible question they could answer. And as a matter of fact, when we pick jurors, we ask that question. Are you the kind of person who has to have every possible question answered before you
Right.
can render a verdict? And if someone says, yeah, I like to have every stone turned and I have to know it 100% before well, then you're excused. You can't
Yeah.
be on a jury because there's no case I will ever try, even when the guy confesses later. So we know we had the truth.
Right.
I've always got open. How did he do it? I don't have to, by the way, explain to a jury why he did it, just that he did it.
That,
I
yeah.
don't have to be certain about how he got away with it, how he did this, that, or that other. I oftentimes don't even know how he did it. I just know that he did it.
Right.
So people have to render a verdict, even though they don't have good, they have open questions, they're important questions
Yes.
that I can't answer. So if you're examining the existence of God and you think that the standard of proof is beyond a possible doubt, okay, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. There's nothing that you think you know that I could not level some possible doubt about.
Correct.
Oh, you think those are your parents? Really? Have you ever had a paternity test? I mean, have you? There's lots of people who are raised
Right.
for 20 years by parents that it turns out were not theirs. But
Absolutely.
you think you know this, or at least you live comfortably as though you know this.
Right. You
Here's
make the
my
assumption.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always say it this way. If you had to live by that standard, you would not go outside because it's possible. You can go out to your car if you're a driver. Yeah, if you're not, your parents are a driver. You can go as a family. You could go out to your car and you can stick a key in the ignition, turn the ignition, and the car could explode in the driveway. This happens repeatedly in the course of a year all over America.
Yeah.
It's possible, but I can't live that way because I'd never
Right.
turn a key. I'd never do anything. I'd be stuck in the house.
Right.
Okay? So what we do is we live at a different standard. It's not beyond a possible doubt. It's beyond a reasonable doubt.
Mm.
And that means that there's a gap there where all of your imaginary silly questions are. No, look, I don't think that questions about God are silly.
Right.
I think we should be asking those kinds of questions.
Absolutely.
But there are times when we posit things where we're saying things like, well, isn't it possible? Well, do you have any evidence for this? Well, no, but isn't it possible? Okay, we don't allow jurors to talk about things for which there is no evidence.
Right.
There's more than enough evidence to demonstrate that God exists. I will just tell you this up front. Look, we are in a universe that began to exist, not according to our Bible, our Bible says that, but according to the science.
Right. Absolutely.
Big Bang cosmology, standard cosmological model is that the entire universe, all space, time, matter, energy, and all physics and chemistry that are used to examine space, time, and matter, all of that stuff came into existence from nothing according to the science.
Absolutely.
Then the universe we're living in appears to be fine-tuned for the existence of carbon-based life. That's non-controversial among scientists.
Right.
But how do you explain the fine-tuning? And life originates in the universe from non-life. How does that happen? And then when it originates, it appears to be designed for a purpose according to atheists.
Yeah.
So how do you explain these things? Here's my point. We have enough evidence to demonstrate that God exists,
Mhm.
but I still have questions. I
Absolutely.
still have open questions. I still have questions that are kind of a figment of my own imagination.
Yeah.
Judges call these imaginary doubts or possible doubts.
Hmm.
You may have some imaginary or possible doubts. No problem. But it does not mean you could not still render the verdict for God,
Right.
because it turns out that you'll always have imaginary and possible doubts about anything.
Yeah.
So here's what I mean to say.
Yeah.
There's evidence for God's existence, and it stops short of the goal. And this happens in every criminal case. We have evidence that he did it, but I don't have a video of him doing it. So in the end, you're gonna have to take a step toward a verdict at the end of our evidence trail.
Wow.
The same is true for Christians. You've got good evidence, but yes, it doesn't go all. We don't have a video of Jesus. He's not going
Right.
to show up probably in your bedroom tonight and tell you that this is true. Probably you're going to take a step at the end of the evidence trail, even though you've got some unanswered questions. Yeah, I will tell you though, look, I resisted the miracle accounts in the New Testament for a long time. I could have told Joe, said to you, hey, I think that the Gospels are accurate about the life and ministry of Jesus, short of any miracles. I'm okay with him preaching sermons.
Yeah.
Those were smart. But he didn't work miracles. And that's because in our generation, we reject such things.
Right.
I get it. But we have to be fair that that's really what is causing. If the Bible didn't have any miraculous statements in it,
Mhm.
Jesus never rose from the dead, never born by virgin, never worked miracles, never walked on water, never fed 5,000, all that stuff is gone. There wouldn't be a skeptic in the world today that would deny the historicity of a person named Jesus of Nazareth. We have so much document evidence that everyone would go, yeah, this dude lived. And he said this. I have great high level confidence that these are the words of Jesus in every one of his sermons. We'd be going, check, I'm in, I'm in,
Yeah.
I'm in. Look, what causes us to reject it is that we don't like miracles.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, we're like, okay, so you're in a universe right now that you would agree as an atheist came into existence from nothing. In other words, the cause of the all space, time, and matter cannot be made of space, time, or matter.
Right.
It didn't exist until the universe existed. So whatever caused it has to be outside of space, time, or matter. Dude, you're already in something extra natural. Your first explanation is already outside of nature.
Absolutely.
If there's a
Ex
being,
nihilo nihil fit, right? Out of nothing,
Yeah.
nothing comes. Yeah.
if there's a being that can do all of that, that can create everything from nothing, then walking on water is small potatoes. Resurrection is small potatoes. These are small potato miracles compared to
Yeah.
everything from nothing.
Absolutely. So forth. And so for our teenagers who are watching right now, maybe even parents who are watching right now, they want to grow deeper. They want to be more secure in their faith. They want to kind of have a better understanding of what they believe and why they believe it. What advice would you give them, or what resources might you have for them to kind of strengthen their confidence or to engage in conversations that might be difficult?
Okay, so I think the first thing we have to do is we have to shift our thinking
Yeah.
about a key word that we hear all the time in the Christian walk. And one of the words that I see being misused by Christians all the time, even as it's written in their own scripture, our scripture, is this word we call testimony.
Mm.
So what typically happens if you're sharing your faith with somebody or somebody sharing their faith with you, we have a tendency to slip into testimony. Let me tell you what God has done in my life.
Right.
Okay, but I'll be honest. That is also the strategy of Mormons.
Absolutely.
It's a strategy of Buddhists.
Yeah.
It's a strategy of a lot of people who believe in a God of some sort.
Yes.
And you would say, whatever you believe is true, you would say that other group's not holding the truth. Well, okay, well, why are we using their tactics?
Right.
Because we have misinterpreted the word. If you go back, that word is used more times than not in the book of Acts. And it's used by the disciples of Jesus,
Right.
but they aren't testifying to what Jesus had done in their lives.
Right.
They were testifying to their observations of Jesus after the resurrection. This testimony is called direct evidence under court terms. So the disciples were selected on the basis of whether or not they could provide such direct evidence. For example, Judas, right? He's out. He's no longer part of the 12. So the first thing they got to do is we got to replace Judas. So Peter's in the upper room, right, in Acts 1. He's like, hey, we got to find a replacement for Judas.
Right.
Let's see. We need somebody who has seen Jesus from the baptism to the resurrection. Why do you need that? You need an eyewitness.
Yeah.
You need somebody who can testify to the life of Jesus,
Right.
not to what Jesus did in your life.
Correct.
Now, I'm not suggesting that you don't do that. I'm
Absolutely.
just suggesting that you do both of these things. That if you're going to talk about what Jesus has done in your life, to me, as a non-believer, it sounds like you're saying, okay, well, I've seen people transformed by Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean
Right.
Winfrey.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if that really helps me. But if you can show me why this is evidentially true.
Yes.
Make a case for the resurrection. So here's what I would say to you: if you're somebody who is a Christian, maybe even raised that way, if you want to take another step, it's about can you do what the disciples did?
Mm.
Could you do what they did in Acts 1, Acts 2, all the way through the book of Acts? Could you do that? Even when testifying in front of Agrippa, Paul, we'll talk about his own life, but
Right.
it's all centered on the experience he had in Damascus,
Absolutely.
which was not it was an observation he made of the risen Christ.
Right.
So he's testifying as an eyewitness to the resurrection. Now, I'm not an eyewitness to the resurrection.
Right.
Jesus told Thomas, blessed are those who did not see this, but who believe. Why? Because Thomas, you are going to tell them as an eyewitness. I'm going to prepare all of you to tell them as an eyewitness.
Yes.
And they're going to be blessed because even though they didn't get to see this, they have good reason to believe it's true based on your testimony.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been in ministry and for almost 20 years in student ministry. And man, to say that every day is just like, oh man, this is perfect, everything's going well would absolutely be a lie. There are a lot of days
Yeah.
when I have doubts and I have questions even now, and I just go, man, I got to wrestle with this a little bit. And I think that's okay. And I think that's what's the beauty of the Bible and of Christianity is that
Yep.
we're allowed to wrestle with it and still come back to it. And it's
Okay,
still
so
true.
students, let me just tell you this. You've got a great pastor to approach on this. I was a student pastor, a high school pastor for a number of years. My own kids who are grown now, they're like 31 to 23. They were in my youth ministry, okay? And then I planted a church of all college age, and I did that so to about 10 years total,
Yeah.
11 years total in those two ministries. And I will tell you, our students asked a ton of questions. I loved it. And I felt like that is what kept them strong in the faith, is they were able to ask difficult questions. And I would point them to answers. And so you've got somebody who's willing to do that with you in this ministry. That one way you can be grow in your faith is to continue to take advantage of the resources that God has given you in this ministry, where you can ask a human who can respond to you in real time with answers, who actually cares about being able to provide those answers. Science can tell us what is and what is not, but it cannot tell it what ought to be and what ought
Right.
not to be.
An is and an ought.
Is different than ought.
Yes.
And the real difference here is that we have to ask us the question is in the end, if science can't tell us whether you ought to do this or not, then you're defaulting to a group of subjects. Either I could say, well, I have a personal standard which says I shouldn't do that. Okay, but if the killer, who's a psychopath, has a different personal standard, then who gets to choose between personal standards?
Right.
But well, you say, well, our group gets to decide because I'm in a society that agrees. There are lots of societies that do all kinds of horrific things right now. They're either executing Christians or executing other members of
Right,
other
yeah.
religions that are basically abusing minors. Okay, these things are happening all over the world. And if their group says it's okay by us, you are powerless to make a distinction here. That means that everything is okay as long as there's some group that will affirm it. And trust me, there are enough crazy groups out there that almost any behavior will become
Right.
affirmed.
Absolutely.
So we got to ask ourselves the question. We live in a world that assumes that there is an objective standard for good and bad that transcends groups.
Correct.
Why? Why do you assume?
Wow, that's
by the
great.
way,
Well, Jim, we're running out of time, so I'm gonna let you go. I know you've got a ton of stuff going on, and so you mentioned it once, but would you just tell us your website again so that our folks can go and check it out?
Yep, I know that I've written it really for high schoolers mostly because my passion is with youth. So we've written resources for youth group and for just young people in general, and that's at coldcasechristianity.com. And you'll see there's stuff there. Like right now, I'm trying to do a quarantine questionnaire every other day.
Yeah.
We're stuck in quarantine right now. But if
Yep,
you
so are
wanted
we.
to learn something, it's got 5 questions you answer after watching a video and reading an article.
Well, thank you seriously so much, not only for taking time today, but just for all the work that you've done and for all the articles you've written and the books that you've written and everything that you've done. You have helped, I think, so many people, including myself, understand more about the apologetics and evidential side of Christianity. And looking at it from that point of view is a really unique observation that really only somebody from your background could have done. And so
Well, just keep up the good work. You're doing the most important work in the church right now. This is the generation that is changing culture more than any other group. Your people in your ministry know that if there's a person who's going to pop out right now in pop music or on a YouTuber, it's probably not going to be in my generation. It's
Right.
probably going to be in the generation of teenagers. You guys are influencers right now. Don't
Right.
waste the opportunity to influence the culture toward good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We'll let
Thanks,
you
brother.
go. And man, God bless you.
God bless you.
All right. Wow. I hope you guys learned as much as I did from that. That was a really fun conversation. Make sure you go to his website, check out his resources. Now that we're back, we're going to do a segment. And again, this segment, I'm equal parts intrigued and horrified at what may happen here. So we're going to play a trivia game. And so this is called Gross Trivia. And really what it's going to happen is Alyssa and I each have 5 trivia questions that we have come up with to ask each other. Now, if the person gets the question right, if they answer the question right, then the person who was asking the question has to spin the dial and take a gamble on one of these jelly beans. If the person gets the question wrong, then they have to eat one of the jelly beans after the spinner. Now, if you're like, okay, what's the big deal with jelly beans? Well, let me just tell you the flavors that are possible here. Alyssa, you ready for this?
No.
So you'll spin this, you'll land on one of these, and your flavors will include some of the following. Either toasted marshmallow or stink bug. Okay. Birthday cake or dirty dishwater. Berry blue or toothpaste. I mean, that one's not horrible. Buttered popcorn or rotten egg. Chocolate pudding or canned dog food. Peach or barf. That's vomit. Okay.
Thank you for clarifying.
Coconut or spoiled milk. Juicy pear or booger. Tutti frutti or stinky socks. And last but certainly not least, strawberry banana smoothie or dead fish. I don't know why we're doing this. I regret it immediately, but we're going to do it anyway. And so we will find out what happens. So Alyssa, I'm going to let you do the honor of asking the first question. So we'll see. And by the way, before we ask the question, you asked this earlier, and I do think it's a fair question. How do they come up with these flavors?
Yeah. I would not want to be one of their like taste testers.
Like, hey, Jim, come on over here. We want you to try this new flavor. Oh, what is it? Oh, just put it in your mouth and you'll find out. Ha ha, it's stinky socks. Like, I'd punch that person. That's gross. All right. So we hope you guys are going to enjoy this. We certainly are not. So anyway, Alyssa, go ahead and ask the first question and we'll see what happens. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you this. The person who has the most points at the end wins. Like, you got the most right answers. The person who loses has to take a handful of these and just chew it
I don't
up.
remember that being part of the agreement, so I really hope I win.
We just made that part of the agreement. So, all right, here we go. First question, Alyssa. What do you got for me?
The grandmother in Moana tells Moana that when she dies, she will come back as what animal? A falcon, B, a stingray, C, a shark, or D, a dolphin?
I've never seen Moana, so this is a
I know.
wild guess. What were the choices again?
A, falcon,
Okay.
B, stingray, C, shark, or D, dolphin?
I'm going to go with B, stingray.
That's correct.
Yeah! All right, Alyssa, I hope you're ready.
I'm not.
All right, let's see what happens.
Wait, I don't get to spin it?
Oh, let me just do it this way. All right, you either get canned dog food or chocolate pudding, the brown one.
Okay.
I'm not sure which ones those are.
Oh,
there they
here we
are.
go.
Okay. Make your choice and pick.
I'm so nervous.
All right.
I'm so nervous. That's not chocolate pudding.
How is it? Is it
Do I have to
wonderful?
swallow it?
Oh yeah, you got to eat it.
This is like, might be the worst thing I've ever tasted.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm like crying.
it's good, huh?
I may have to just swallow this whole because I don't think I can keep chewing it.
Yum. Now, have you ever tasted dog food before to give it a reference point? Okay, good.
No.
Good deal. All right. Are you ready for your first question?
I don't think so.
Okay. What was the name for the original group of Destiny's Child? Was it Destiny's Child, Girl Time, Mocha, or Destiny's Kiss?
Oh wait, I need the choices again.
Yeah. Was it always Destiny's Child, Girl Time, Mocha, or Destiny's Kiss?
Girl time?
It is Girl Time. no.
I love
Okay,
Miss
you
Destiny's
can
Child.
spin it. Oh no.
Peach or barf?
Oh no.
That would be the orange one with
Oh, no.
red speckles, but watch out because then you might actually get the dead
Oh,
fish.
how do you know the difference? Oh, maybe this is peach.
I think the peach one is more see-through.
Like that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope you get barf. Maybe this wasn't one of our best ideas.
It won't go down.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh.
At least it's not dog food. Are you ready for your next one?
I hate this a lot.
Okay, are you ready?
Oh, why did I not bring some water or something in here?
Yeah, we should have done that. In Toy Story 4, what was the name of the antique store cat who loves to destroy toys? Is it Dragon, Demon, Damon, or Cat Damon?
Damon?
That would be incorrect.
Oh,
His name was Dragon.
gosh. I hate it so much.
Tutti Frutti or Stinky Socks?
Why?
Those are like the rainbow ones, but not the birthday.
Well, they look similar. Is it that one? Or is that birthday cake?
They do look really similar.
Oh.
I don't know, just pick
I
one.
think that's Tutti Frutti. That's gotta be.
Yep. So it's either Stinky Socks or Tutti Frutti.
That's worse than barf. That is worse than barf. I have never, ever tasted these. Oh.
I'm just glad you're getting the bad one,
Oh.
so it's like eliminating my chances of getting a
Ugh.
horrible one.
I hate everything.
It's okay, I still have the taste of canned dog food in my mouth.
I hate everything right now. All of it. All right, next question. Whew, that is awful. What is Justin Timberlake's middle name? Martin, Chandler, Everett, or Randall?
Randall?
Yes, it's Randall.
Yeah. Love me some NSYNC.
Did you guess? Oh no.
Rotten egg or buttered popcorn? I'm so excited.
I hate buttered popcorn, so they're both terrible for
Okay,
me.
that one's not bad though. It really just tastes like popcorn. They're like the yellow
yellow?
with the white.
That one?
Sure. Either way, you know it's gonna be great.
Please don't be rotten egg. It's rotten egg. It is rotten egg.
This is a great game.
No,
I'm so
it's
glad
not.
you had this idea.
Why did we do this?
Okay, you ready for another one?
I can't cheer it up. I can't. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to experience that, so I need to find one that you're not gonna get.
No, you just pick what's on the paper.
Okay, what is the name of Minnie Mouse's cat?
She has a cat?
Is it
Why are you asking all Disney stuff? This is the
Socks,
worst.
Buttons, Figaro, or Fluffy?
Figaro. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah! Okay, I almost said buttons.
I wish you would have.
Well, I didn't. Dadgummit. Stop. Oh, boy. Toasted marshmallow or stink
Oh,
bug?
this is the one I've been so
Toasted
nervous
marshmallow or stink bug?
about. I think it's these. Do you think so?
The brown ones? I think it's
No, that's
these.
Tutti Frutti.
Yeah. Oh, please be stink
If
bug.
it's stink bug, I'm gonna have to spit it out.
Please be
There's
stink
no
bug.
way.
Please be stink bug.
It's so much worse than canned dog food.
Is it really worse? Yes. Okay, I can smell it. I can smell it and it's terrible. All right. Sorry for that interruption, folks. We're back. Alyssa has recovered, sort of.
Sort of. I
She
still
sort of
smell
recovered.
it.
All right, Alyssa, are you ready for your next question?
Oh, I don't think so. It can't be worse than that, so.
In the TV show Stranger Things,
Okay.
what is Eleven's real name?
I knew you were gonna ask me this because I saw it online today.
Is it Jane Doe, Jane Ives, Jane Jones, or her real name is never given?
No, her real name is Jane. Give me the options again.
Jane Doe, Jane Ives, Jane Jones.
Why do I not remember her last name? I know it's Jane. Jane Jones?
It is not Jane Jones, it is Jane Ives. Then it was changed to Jane Hopper, so we would have accepted either one of those, but.
It was not a given answer.
That's right, it was a little fun fact for me. All right, so you get either strawberry banana smoothie or dead fish. Oh my gosh, strawberry banana smoothie or dead fish?
Is that these?
I think that's that one, yeah.
It cannot be worse than stink bug. Yes, it can.
We haven't gotten a regular jelly bean yet. Which one's worse? Can you even speak?
Okay, I can't.
Oh, you didn't even swallow it. Wow.
It legitimately, did you get that one?
Nope.
It tastes like a dead fish.
Have you eaten dead fish?
Like a super, like, fishy, like if someone was...
Listen, Jelly
If
Belly,
you just walked into
who's
a room-
creating this, Jelly
a
Belly?
room with dead fish, the way it smells is the way that just tasted. So
my
no,
gosh.
I did not swallow it.
Oh,
Okay. And you may have to look at these, but it's okay because the answer's not on here.
It's fine.
Which phrase did the evil queen in Snow White say? Was it, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all? Or magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? Would you like to look at it?
Why would you do this?
It's a really common phrase.
B, magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
How? How do you know that?
I guessed, I don't know.
This is dumb.
I'm so excited. Your Disney trivia is backfiring.
Well, the next one's gonna be about Mulan.
Oh no. Okay, so we're at birthday cake or dirty dishwater. Birthday cake.
Dirty dishwater was the other one besides stink bug that I was real nervous about.
So they're both speckled with white. I think it's the white, the really white ones that have speckled. No, I think that's Tutti Frutti.
This one?
Maybe.
Oh gosh, I can still smell stink bug on my breath. Well, if not, then it's gonna be...
It may be that one. Oh, you've got what you've got. Okay.
Yeah. If not, it's gonna be stinky socks, so... It's birthday cake.
Dang it.
Finally.
We finally got...
It's not good birthday cake, but it's birthday
It's not
cake.
great, but it's better than dirty dishwater. Okay.
That was good.
How many questions do we have? We have one question left or two?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
one
one.
left, yeah. Oh,
And so
please,
far I'm winning.
Please, I think we're tied.
No.
I think we're tied.
You've had way more jelly beans than I have.
I've had two. Yeah, I had barf and sneaky sock.
I don't think that's right.
That's correct.
Okay, continue.
Okay. Last question. What was the first Goosebumps book ever written by R.L. Stine? Was it The Girl Who Cried Monster, Say Cheese and Die, Night of the Living Dummy, or Welcome to Dead House?
Say cheese and die.
It is Welcome to Dead House.
That was gonna be my next guess.
So, let's just take a little spin-a-rooney and see what happens here. Coconut or spilled milk?
Spoiled.
Spoiled milk. Sorry, not spilled milk. That would really not be my
I don't love
flavor.
coconut either, but I'd rather get coconut than spoiled
Come on,
milk.
spilled milk, spilled milk. Say it with me, guys. Spilled milk. Or spoiled milk. Why do I keep saying spilled milk?
It's coconut.
Dang it.
Wow, I don't really like coconut, but it's pretty good.
Oh, great. Thanks for rubbing that in. I've still got the taste of sock in my mouth.
It's better than stink bug.
I'll take
Okay.
your word for it. All right, last question.
The Sound of Music featured a singing family with how many children?
No.
6, 8, 9, or 7?
Why are you doing this to me? I know it's the Von Trapps. Does that count for something?
No.
8.
No. It was 7. Coconut or spoiled milk? It's your turn.
But you've already eaten one of the coconut ones, so the odds
Right.
are not in my favor.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's one. Spoiled milk. Spoiled milk.
100% spoiled milk.
I'm enjoying this.
I
My
think
hands still smell like stink
I'm
bug.
still chewing mine up because I'm a real participant.
I'm fine with that. You chew that spoiled milk. Because spoiled milk is chewable.
Still better than the sock one. Oh, whew. Okay. I haven't been keeping score.
I think I won.
I think we're tied.
No, I'm pretty sure I won.
I think we're tied. I think that I got 3 wrong, or I don't remember.
Yeah, I think I
No.
won.
No. We're tied.
Well, what does that mean?
Means we both have to do it. Take a small handful.
What kind of a rule is this?
Okay, I got 7. 7
Okay.
of them.
Oh, I got 2 that are like the same. I can't have that.
And we'll find out in post if we really got tied or not. But for fun, let's just see what happens. All right.
This is like the worst idea I think you've ever had.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
You didn't eat yours! What the heck? I can still taste it!
And that, folks, is how you win the game.
I can't chew, so.
Did you get any good flavors in there? Or is it hard to tell? All right, folks. Well, that was gross trivia. Here's what we want you to do. We want you to message us or tag us or text us and let us know what other gross things we should try to eat for next week, all right? Or maybe the next session. We want to know what you guys think, and so we'll see what happens. But here's what I want you to do. We're going to have a real quick time. We want you to hear from God, and this week, it's not me. We want you to hear from one of our students, so please check out this awesome message from one of our juniors, Braden Marion. You okay there?
What is up, guys? Super excited to be here. I can't wait to get in and talk about what God has laid on my heart. We're going to go ahead and just get started, dive in. We're going to be in Psalm 20, verses 7 through 8. We're only going to look at 2 verses, but I think what God has to say in this is super, super important to today. And what these verses say is so relevant to today in our lives, guys, especially as teenagers, as adults. A lot of these things, this time is stressful. This time is confusing. We're asking questions. Why? Why? But on the other end, when we get out of this, when God has shown us why, we will celebrate him. We will give him praise for what he has done. We're going to be in Psalm 20, 7 through 8, like I already said. And we're just going to go ahead and dive in and read that. So, yeah. Verse 7 says this: some trust in chariots, some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. They collapse and fall, but we rise and stand upright. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Verse 7, some trust in chariots and some in horses. Right? And I think what that is worldly possession. So it's the relevancy of that. Sports, school, social media, these things that people trust in, people devote a lot of their time to. For me, sports, that I devoted a lot of my time. I'm being honest with you. I devoted a lot of my time to sports. Throwing shot put, working out, doing all these things, eating how I ate, all these things to accomplish that one goal in sports. But eventually it failed, like verse 8 said. It got canceled, it got postponed to a later time. A couple of things. School's canceled, postponed. You're not really getting to have much social interactions with people because you're isolated. You're not being allowed to really go out and do stuff. That's very important. And then it says, but those who trust in the Lord our God. Guys, this is incredible. We trust in a God who never fails, a God who never changes. And I think something in this time, trusting in God is so vital. Trusting in God is so huge, guys. To trust that God is still in control and that God is working everything for good. He tells us that. He says, I'm working all things for good. Verse 8, they collapse and fall, right? The things of the world are collapsing and falling. And when we talk about it kind of a lot, that the things of this world are temporary and they will fail you and they will leave you empty. And we're seeing that. Sports, school, social media, a lot of these things are being canceled. A lot of these things are being postponed. But one thing that's not being canceled is God. God is not being canceled. I think what God is actually doing, God is canceling the distractions in our life. God is saying, let's put these on hold so that you can truly focus on me, so you can truly pursue me. And I'll guarantee that's what he's doing. I'm 100% sure God is canceling these things so we can 100% pursue him. He says these things are going to collapse, these things are going to fall, but I will not fall. God says, I will not fall. What I say is true, will not fall. The next part of verse 8, anytime you really see a but in the Bible, it's typically a good thing. I always say that. Anytime there's a but, it's a good thing. We rise and stand upright. We rise and stand upright. When we get on the other side of this thing, on this situation, this storm that we're in, when we rise and we stand upright, we're going to see how God worked. We're going to see how God molded us, how God put people in our life in this time, how God grew us closer to him. And that I get like this weird goosebump feeling. I start thinking about what it's going to look like whenever we get back into the church and we're worshiping together and we're praising Jesus for everything that he's done. I get goosebumps about it because we're going to start seeing how in this storm God had worked. God is constantly working, waymaker. Even when I'm not seeing it, you're working, right? Even though this time is confusing, even though that we have a lot of questions about this, God is still in control and God is still working. And like I said, when we get on the other side of this, we're going to see how God changed us and how God grew us closer to him. Devin Lewis, when he came and spoke at FCS, the Bible study at Ryan, he asked us the question. He said, do you want bad to happen in your life? And your immediate reaction is, no, I don't want bad to happen at all. And then you start thinking about it. You start thinking about events, circumstances you were in your life that were hard, that were difficult, but then you got on the other side. And you saw how God worked, and you saw the people he brought into your life. You saw how he grew you closer to him. And then you raise your hand. I'd said, Devin, although bad things do happen, I don't like those bad things that happen. I know that God puts those bad things in my life so I can grow better. There's that cheesy phrase, no pain, no gain. And that's so true. If you don't go through anything bad, if you don't go through anything difficult, you won't be able to gain anything. You won't be able to grow closer. And I think that's what God's doing right now, guys. God is putting us in the spot where we're kind of stuck. We have a lot of questions. We really don't know what to do. But when we get on the other side of this, whenever God brings us out of this storm, we are going to see how great he is and how he worked in our lives. We're going to rise up. We're going to stand upright and we're going to praise God for what he has done. And we're going to go share people. Hey, here's what God has actually taught me in this time. Here's what God did in my life. guys, and I get goosebumps thinking about it because I'm thinking this could be like a revival. We could almost have a revival, kind of an uprising because of this storm. Because of this storm, the gospel is going to be further shared after it. Guys, that is so amazing to think. I'm just getting goosebumps about it. Guys, just know that you are loved. God loves you, that he's working everything for good. In this time that seems hard, God is still working. God is for you. He's not against you. God is with you through whatever you're going through. Guys, just remember, we will get out of this. We will rise, and we will stand upright. And guys, that is so comforting to know. Guys, God's still in control. I'm going to go ahead and pray for us, and then we will wrap it all up. All right, let's pray. Dear Lord, I just thank you for this day that you have given us, God, another day on earth, God. I just thank you for giving us a purpose, God, and I thank you for being with us throughout this whole thing. God, I just thank you for you telling us that wherever season we are, God, that you are working everything for good, and everything is to glorify you. And I just thank you that at the end of this storm, God, that you will show us how you worked, God. I love you, God, and I thank you, and I just pray that you continue to keep us safe from sickness and illness, God. I pray for everyone who's watching this video, God, that they would take what was heard and apply it to their lives and take comfort in your word. God, it's in your name I pray. Amen. Y'all have a good week. Thank you for tuning in, and see ya.